Hello, this is Father. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Yay, yay, yay. So, um, today, wild day, right? Wild ending. Um, Not at all how I saw it playing out. Matter of fact, I have most of the stuff hitting. I didn't hide this one gap that I'll show you real fast that they actually have many gaps. Everywhere there's a yellow gap, there's a gap. But I'm only going to leave this one because what I see is a distribution pattern. Now, um, the odd thing about this distribution pattern is it's missing the final component in it, uh, as far as just this pattern alone, right? And that final component is a UTAD. And if you give this as an example, they could do some pretty crazy UTADs with AMC. So I think Booksy was calling for 34 before, possibly 35. It's quite feasible that that's our temporary, you know, uh, stopping point, and we'll be able to tell if it does something like this at the top and starts coming down, right? But what I expect for tomorrow is that it will come down and collect this one area of contention that it just left at the last like 10 minutes of the day, and from there start it's making its way out of this range into the next, and it could be um, the um, the idea that they were always going to do a UTAD. I think Booksy's TA kind of suggested that that was always the case. Um, that it was, and distribution doesn't mean it's going to keep coming down, right? It just means that it would come back to, around this area, right? And I think they've left the groundwork of pretty much guessing what area they're going to probably come back to. But uh, I don't know how high it can go, but why do I say it's distribution? I mean, you can pull up any distribution schematic, just Google them or look at my examples of it, and it's spent most of its time at the lower part of the range. It looks like distribution. It's got the middle up thrust and the um, unless this is the other thing, unless that it that this is a middle area that's leaving now, and then it's almost 50-50 on what to say. So if we first thing we see is it dip down and then come up and test, uh, go above 28, then come back down and start messing around at the top of the range and then take off. It could happen pretty fast. Uh, Maybe the first 2 hours of the day, I could finish all that maybe by noon. Um, Kind of goes along with Bucksy's TA, really, to tell you the truth. Um, and I mean, it's just set up that way. But why do I say a distribution setup, which is, still going to have a massive UTAB, which is a big mountain at the end, before it comes down, is the volume is in all the all the places you would expect to um, see distribution. Um, that's a key thing with volume analysis is where do you know that's why I don't put colors on my chart. some of the people that follow me and know that. But well, it's probably easier to do a candle here. You just look at the high points of the where you see the volume at, and you just kind of look at them and kind of glance over like what parts of the schematic are they in, the high points, are they, since we started this range, are they in the lower parts, are they in the higher, or in the lower parts, or in the higher parts? And because if they're in the higher parts, it usually means they're selling, and they collect in the lower parts. So we do have like some collection here. It's nothing compared to the higher parts. The collection on this candle. Yeah, and I think that this last candle of the day where used it pushing up kind of shows that I mean, it was like last 10 minutes it like went kind of crazy on volume. I think they did that intentionally, knowing that they were going to sell off what they, some more that they collected to come down and collect to get below this. Now, the one thing also though is they could just be getting rid of, I mean, they're selling at the high points because they want to get rid of, they're holding too many shares. They collected more than they wanted during this exhaustion of liquidity, right? It is a possibility, but as you can see, everything that is up here, right, is lower than everything they could have collected, right? I mean, it's higher. Sorry, it's much higher on the time frame, and yeah, I think it's completely feasible now that this part here has turned into distribution. Possibly they changed their mind from what they were doing, or was their plan all along. I can't really tell. I haven't like abandoned the possibility that it was. I mean, it's always going to be distribution at the top, and I haven't abandoned the possibility that it's just the way that this pattern looks, because in my overall schematic, it's not really, it hasn't broken the rule that it's been a pullback, right? And that it's just going to go up to the next level and then pull back again. And maybe that's why they're setting it up to look like kind of a distribution, is to keep other people out of the game until, they've got the number up quite a bit higher. I mean, if they pull this up and then start, trading sideways here, it may, be one of those things where other hedge funds are just jumping in later and they're in at a higher price. So therefore, it ends up really pushing up high, and then it can do it fast. So when I say that this looks like a distribution setup, I'm just saying that as factual as I can be. I'm not being bearish about it. I know people like to think I'm bearish, but I just read the chart. And the next move, and the way it's been doing these cat ear like setups have not been fully distributive. I grabbed one several times back. There's several on here that this pattern here should have been a distribution pattern. It's very indicative of one. It doesn't. It comes down and catches. This one is very normally like a distribution type pattern. It ends up not being. They buy a lot on the high points here. There's a big spike here of volume, yet it still carries on. So it may just be the part of the way they're accumulating, trying to confuse bears, because when I look at this, it's the same thing. At the heights, it's the most volume, but yet it goes up higher. So it may just be the way this pattern is played out, because I've never dealt with such a large double bottom type of situation. And it's not your typical Wyckoff thing. And I'm just talking on a micro thing, that this looks like a UTAD type situation where it's going to go up. But then again, like this one, if I would have called this a UTAD, like where it came back down and caught and then started coming back up, you would have never thought this, like this cat ears here. It did come all the way down to where like it has the possibility of catching, but it did catch. Like this one here, you would there would be several. Like this could be a sign of weakness, so that would be your first possibility of where it could if it was one that's coming back down, that it could catch, which would actually align with a lot of that, right? It would, fill the gaps. And then there's also here before it made its drop, and then here when it ultimately dropped. And those are all points where it could catch when it's coming back down, right? So, so because there's time left for people to buy more of these stocks before, I think the push is going to be partly tomorrow and partly the next day. Go into Thursday, pretty much people have to own their shares to get the ape dividend. So I feel like at some point in the next 2 days, they're going to take it up to whatever, books gets at 35, possibly 38. My call was between 24 and 39, so it was a pretty big spread, right? When I did the point figure, clearly thinking it's got some point and figure things out that might be more accurate. So look at his TA, and then but a UTAG going up to 34 seems totally, or 35 even, seems totally realistic on this pattern. And then, with the pullback, and that's where maybe Booksy's been saying all along, it probably does look something like this, where it comes down and catches and goes on to the next, moves up to the next level. It's one of those things where maybe we've like I've just caught up to Booksy, or somehow we've been quasi on the same page. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on that. We have been pretty independent on it. We share thoughts every once in a while, but I let him know that I could see cat ears here, and sure enough, it did come down, right? But it caught just like all the other ones, and that's where I think, even though it has these other completely blatant gaps in the structure that it doesn't like to leave, AMC does not like to leave gaps. I think it's going to leave them. I think this is going to be the only one it covers. I could be wrong. It could still do a spring, but normally you would just have the one side of weakness, and then the middle's kind of like, it looks a lot like this in a distribution pattern. Makes me want to pull one up, just to show you what I mean. And that, why not? Let's just take the time for a second. The only reason I hadn't had one ready was because when I got hacked this last time, I lost everything that was on my computer. I just wiped it, and so therefore I had lost all my schematics. They're on the Discord, but and I had them from memory, but I would pull them up every once in a while to um, uh, you know, reference to people. So let me just get one real fast, and then I can hopefully do a little better explaining. Father, you have some explaining to do. But yeah, today did not go the way I envisioned, which is okay. I mean, it kind of did. I mean, at one point, it almost looked like it was just like tracing what I was thinking, what I was thinking was playing out, and then completely diverted. And I don't know if it tricked bears into getting in, which would be crazy at this point. Um, I mean, but I mean, it's a crazy stock for them to be in anyway, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, believe whatever you wanted about theaters going away during the pandemic, but now that it's recovering and everything, it's becoming a little silly. Uh, and maybe it will expose synthetic shorts and be all, change the whole thing up. But if not, I'm sure Composite Operator has a plan. So here's a distribution schematic, and the UTADs on AMC tend to be a lot higher, but I wanted to kind of show you how this lines up, and you know how easily. So you had your buying climax over here, and your um, up thrust, but see how it doesn't come back down near the sign of weakness. It kind of does this sideways action, and then just takes off for a UTAD. That's kind of what I see. Now it could be that it just goes as high as just a little bit above um, the 28, and I just don't know what I would mark off of, because there's no like um, I mean, it's the automatic reaction and strength tests are both right here. They're quite low. So well, it's kind of part of the. I don't even know. I guess you would put it here. The automatic reaction. It's just that weird setup, um, to say the least. So, I mean, yeah, maybe this isn't the greatest schematic to show, but mostly you can see that it doesn't go down, right? And that would also be in the accumulation version where, um, if it basically pulled down and goes up, then from this point, should be watching really close to see if it's going to start coming back down. If it is, time to jump ship. Now, if it, you know, starts going up, um, probably too late for you to get in. But yeah, I could see, I could see something easily going up higher than this, even in during that kind of slanted back down thing that the last one did, but stopping somewhere around here and then starting a new range. And I don't know. I bet Booksy has it better drawn up than me. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of show you I think they have a time to kind of like where it's going to be topping out, close to, I think, I want to say the 18th is the day of record, so that's Thursday. So it needs to be at the top of whatever it's going to do by Thursday, to get the best um, bang for its buck if it's planning on just doing a distribution. And at any point, it can change its mind. It can uh, kind of do a change of character thing where um, they thought they were going to do one thing, and then they find nobody selling at the top, or no one's buying, or there's some reason where they want to push it up higher, or another institution comes in and takes it over, takes it up higher, or the whole time it's actually been my version, and it's just seeming to take forever on this pullback, because I wouldn't know what the pullbacks look like of such a basic generic um, schematic to go off of, to where you got uh, basically this, and if it is this, then you got a big sky's the limit kind of thing going on. It's possible. It is very. I mean, this is not. It's not been debunked yet. This is not just because I said this looks like a distribution. This does not mean like. I mean, it could actually even be that, where the reason it looks that way is they want to fake bears out. So when they get up to here and they start coming back down, this doesn't come back 50%, and then it just takes off. That would blow everybody's mind. It's kind of like when they were coming down. Everybody, they kept giving people this impression that it was going to go back up, and instead it goes down, and then they get the impression that it's going to go up, but no, instead it goes down, and then they get the impression it's kind of doing an accumulation before it goes back up, but no, it goes down, and then every time it's like this fake out that they do so well, and yeah, on the grand scheme of things, that there was a liquidity gap here. It needed some filling. It was really, I mean, like there's one in the 30s, which this would take care of. But other than that, I don't see anything that doesn't prevent this scenario. Uh, and like I said in the Discord earlier, it's kind of one of those now or never type of things. They really have to um, give something, that they have to entice the AMC shareholders uh, to keep people involved, right? Have to give us something to you know get excited about. You can't be all doom and gloom and collecting, and then uh, take off and not give you know give the excitement for the people that held, and the FOMO to come back in, and people that wish they never got out, and blah blah blah. Um, yeah, it's all there. But I didn't want to not do a video tonight. I thought about you know people were saying I was finally bullish, and I didn't want to come in with what I basically what I was seeing. But I also want people to be aware, uh, and it for them to take it from these these levels here of buying, and that they're possibly selling twice at twice the height. It would not be that surprising, uh, especially that have just a UTAD in it, and it come down somewhat. But there's just too much to it. With the double bottom, thing, like this part here is supposed to be a drain of the remaining supply. Like they just do their best to like just suck out the rest of the supply, and then they take off with it, right? And though it has seemed kind of slow for us living in this, like um, it's actually been a pretty fast move since we came here. It's when Booksy shows the kind of verticality of how it's changing, it's gone from this like kind of gradual uptick to this more parabolic range. And I'm not, I'm not drawing these as like support lines, but I'm just showing you like that this is like kind of the direction that it's saying it's going, right? That this is the angle it's going in currently. right? And it was going at this angle, so it's moved from this to this, and I think Booksy in his last thing, kind of pointed out that it doesn't take too much to switch to this to be really parabolic, right? To be, one of these kind of, things. Matter of fact, you could probably take that from there and get a kind of example of what we might be looking at in the next 2 days, or just tomorrow. And I'm going to grab that real fast from where what looks like to me it could go from. And yeah, from there, then you can kind of get an idea. So we come down, and I think some of this is already covered, so I might grab too much of that, but yeah, pretty much like that, and verticality would be something like that, and that puts it on the 22nd, so it'd even be more vertical. So, or I guess like if you move this over a tad bit, you end up with it on the 19th. So even when I'm moving it over at such a large scale, right, we're on the hourly, that it actually wouldn't take much. Oops, I didn't want that to move. Sorry about that. Put that back in place. All right. Yeah, I think someone had pointed out too that it does resemble the SOS, but the problem is that an SOS needs something to be breaking up above, right? It needs something to be, tracking back and forth on, and there's nothing on here that this would be tracking on. However, that verticality looks pretty spot on, and that hits the 18th. So whoever did point that out probably did a pretty good job. And that gets a little, this shows it going up a little higher, which is possible too. But yeah, it's now or never, and that's the way I see it. I can't unsee it. Could be wrong. I expected that that this would play out where it came down, sprang off my purple line. My purple line was very generically drawn, with my green line being right on the 618, and it bounced off the 618. So there's no reason to think that that wasn't the valid low. So even if it came down back through all these and then took off, which would actually be better, than you wouldn't have to worry about this coming down. I don't see that happening. I just see them taking care of the one that they created today, which is at 23.35. So kind of watch for that 23.35 and see if we don't just kind of take off from there. Maybe we start the day from there. Anything's possible, right? And it just keeps going up. But anyway, I just wanted to get my TA out there to you before tomorrow, because I know a lot of people can't sit in the AMC chat or watch 20 YouTube streams or everything, and maybe want a second opinion about what's going on. So on that, catch you on the flip side. I hope you have a wonderful night. And Booksy, I hope you and your family are feeling better. I think I'm the only one of mine that's still suffering through it. But yeah, get you on the flip side.